episode 4. Episode 4, Sex Patrol. Wow, we're doing this. So the episode starts with oh man. It starts with Niles. He's basically having a conversation with Dorothy. This is back when she was living with Danny the Street. And she was just like, "Oh, father," she's like, "Can I go out topside?" Because Danny's basically a street that a bunch of people, live on. And Dorothy, although she lived with Danny for X amount of years. She said she's never actually been upstairs. She talks to Danny all the time. Like, her and Danny have because again, Danny controls the whole street. Her and Danny constantly have conversation, like they're constantly talking to each other, but she's never actually gone upstairs. And Niles, that's exactly how Niles wanted it. Niles and Danny got into a little conversation about why she's downstairs, and then Danny was just like, "Bro, like, you got this, it's your daughter, like, you gotta find something to do with her eventually." Like, he's like, "She just can't stay here forever." But then Niles was just like, "I'm her father, just do what I say, Danny, please." So that's pretty much his whole thing, because he just wanted to keep her confined. So again, so she lives in the basement. She has access to food and everything. She has Danny to talk to. Niles comes and visits all the time, but she hears all this commotion, all this party and stuff going on, and she's never actually a part of it. So now it takes us back. So now we're back in the present, and it's the aftermath of of the previous episode. Because Dorothy, she accidentally broke the brick, which was Danny, and she's feeling like the guilt and the sorrow over the fact that she broke that she broke the brick. So while they're talking about what they're gonna do, and how Danny can you know basically be put back together, because Niles is desperately trying to put Danny back together. And then Rita and Larry, they were just like, is the reason why you're trying so hard to fix Danny is so you can put Dorothy back in him when he turns back into an actual street. And then Niles was like, "Don't talk to me. I don't know what you're talking about." So I was like, he's gonna throw this broad back in. He's gonna throw this chick back in the thing. So that was his whole plan. So the doorbell rings. Dorothy answers the door. All the people who used to live on Danny the Street have come to Niles' house. Even the former fighter pilot, like the army person that Larry knew, the cross dresser, he was there. Flex Mantalo was there. I mean, those were the only two people that we recognized from previous episodes. So everybody's there. They give this whole speech. They're just like, in order for us to put Danny back to normal, we basically have to throw a party, because love and energy and excitement, togetherness, that's what kept Danny alive. That's what keeps Danny alive. So they've decided to throw a party. While they're setting up for the party, Rita's basically trying to show everybody that she knows how to use her power. She tried to use her stretchy arms, to put to put like the disco ball on the ceiling, and it didn't work. So she was embarrassed and she walked away. So they're able to get the party set up. So the music's playing. It's like, it's not really like a party part. Like, I mean, it was kind of whack. To be honest, like the initial party was kind of whack. Like, the music was dull or whatever. So then Dorothy, so she's upstairs. She's talking to Rita, and then her and Rita are having a conversation, because Rita's kind of been mentoring her, being like a big sister, or like a mother figure. Rita ends up putting makeup on Dorothy, because Dorothy had asked Rita, she was like, "Rita, am I beautiful?" And she's like, "Pish tosh, honey." She's like, "Everybody's beautiful." So she put makeup on her. Dorothy goes downstairs to the party. Niles sees her with makeup, but he's just like, "Don't put that stuff on your face." And he's like, "You're just a child." And then she was like, "I'm 103 quarters." And I was like, "She's 100? Holy cow. This kid is 100 years old." So yeah, so whatever her powers are, it prevents her. Who knows? Like, I will not be surprised if we find out later in the season that her powers, whatever powers she possesses, if that's not what keeps her young. I would not be surprised if I find out that Niles is the reason why she doesn't age, because of something specific that Niles did. Wouldn't be surprised. So then we get the first scene where Dorothy kind of like talks back to the old man. She's just like, "You can't tell me what to do." Or, the two of them get mad and they walk away. So so after a while, they kind of admit, they're just like, "Yo, this party's kind of whack." And so then so then Dorothy shows up, and then she's just like, "You know what?" She's just like, let me sing a song to try to wake him up. So Dorothy basically sings the cricket song from Pinocchio. um, you know, And then as her a child's love and probably a little bit of magic, contributed, and then like this magic room opened where it had a stage and colors and actual good music, and it was a live or party situation. So everybody was like, wow, like she did it. Danny's heart is beating again, and Danny's starting to create, he's starting to create a home again. So everybody goes into the party room, they're getting it on. Cyborg shows up. He's like, "What the f is going up? It's going on up in here." Cliff, he's downstairs being depressed, and then the chief rolls up on Cliff, and then he was just like, "Look, I can't take back the stuff that I've done, but I see you're feeling depressed." So the chief was like, "Listen, I could inject basically ecstasy into your nervous system to go to your blood." And then he was just like, so basically you're trying to get me high? And he was just like, yeah, why not? It's like, I'll pump you full of ecstasy. It'll get you high for a couple of hours. At least then you can, you'll feel better. And then, you can take, just something to take your mind off the whole thing. So Cliff does it. And now he's like the life of the party, jumping all over tables and dancing like a fool. Jane, because remember, she's still trapped in the underground. One of her personalities that took over was the one that does the painting. And earlier Cliff was talking to her, and then she was just like, Cliff was just like, "Oh, which one are you?" And then she's like, "Oh, I'm the painter or whatever." And she was just like, "It's nice to meet you, but I won't be staying here that long. I'm leaving." So Cliff was like, "Where are you gonna go?" And then she's just like, "I don't know. We'll just go somewhere quiet." And then Cliff was just like, "Okay, but how are you gonna pay for food? How are you gonna pay for transportation? When you get to someplace quiet, how are you gonna afford a place to live?" And she didn't have the answers to those questions, so she kind of freaked out. So then that brought another personality up, and I forgot that personality's name, but she was basically a sex whore. Like when she showed up, she was basically flirting with everybody, talking dirty to everybody. She saw Cyborg and she was flirting with Cyborg. She was dancing with two dudes on the dance floor. She's basically like the wild party girl, of the personality. So the whole party situation fit in perfectly, like with her entire situation. And she's just down there just partying, having a good old time. So Cyborg, he's sitting at the bar, he's talking to the crossdresser, and they're just having a nice conversation about, the girl that he left behind. And then he told him, he was like, "Look, bro," he's like, "the world is full of hate, so if you find something that you love or someone that you love, grab onto it. And if it's worth it, stick around and chase it." So he felt better. Cyborg went to go join the party. Larry started dancing with Rita, and then Rita dipped on him. And then some dude tried to dance with Larry. And then when Larry told the guy that, because the guy asked him, he was just like, "Oh, I bet you're buff under those bandages." And then Larry was like, "Well, if I take the bandages off, I'll kill everybody in the room." And then the guy kind of like backed off and walked away. So Larry got mad, and he was just like, "Yo, I can't do shit." He went downstairs. He was talking to Cliff. The two of them got into a conversation like over their kids. And then Larry told him, he was just like, like, "We're bad parents. We're the reason why our kids are fucked up," which kind of like killed the vibe for both Larry and Cliff, for the rest of the episode. Rita, she was watching Flex Mentallo the entire time, and while she was watching Flex, she was seeing, she saw how he was able to control his power and use his flex muscles to control the power. So Rita started getting some ideas, and then she asked him, she was just like, "How do you do that?" And then he said that, "I just simply just clear my mind, and I just allow, like emptiness, and then once I clear my mind, I'm able to better use my power." So Rita was just like, "All right," she was like, "Come upstairs and teach me how to do that." After Dorothy ended up revising Danny's heartbeat, Niles told her, he's like, "It's time for bed." And then, she went to bed or whatever. She got mad because she didn't want to go to bed. And she's like, "I've never been to a party." And he was like, "You're too young." She's like, "But I'm 100 years old." He's like, "Take your ass to bed." So she goes to bed. So while she's in bed, the evil thing that she conjures up was talking to her. And then he was just like, "Yo, I'm tired." He's like, "We're tired of being held captive. Go to the party." And then she's just like, "Oh, but we're not allowed." And he was just like, "We're tired of being held prisoner. Go to the party." So Dorothy's all right, fine. She goes to the party. She's at the party. Danny's talking to her while she's at the party. She drunk an adult beverage, and then Danny was like, "Don't do that." And the two of them had a conversation. And then, then she asked Danny, she was like, "Can I stay here a little longer?" And he's like, "All right, 10 minutes, you can stay. And then I'm telling Niles, to come get you." So then the evil spirit started telling Dorothy, you know, don't let Danny revive himself, because then we're going to go back into prison. And then she was like, what are you talking about? We're living with daddy. And he was just like, nah. He was like, once Danny's back to being a street, Niles is going to send you back to Danny and we're going to be back in prison. And then she was just like, but we weren't in prison before. We were like, yes, and we were living there. He was just like, nah, homegirl. We were like, it was prison. Like, think about it. Like, it was a prison, and then like that messed Dorothy up in the head. And now she was kind of confused, not knowing what to do, so, so then when, so then like, because she was all like messed up in the head, she started believing, her imaginary friend. And then she went to Danny and she asked Danny straight up. She was just like, when I was staying with you, she was like, was I your friend or was I your prisoner? And then Danny was just like, I wish I could say you were more than just my friend. Because Danny was just like, you are my friend, but he was like, but if we're calling a spade, we were only friends because you were my prisoner. That's how we became friends. And then, she got real mad, and then, she started snapping, and then like the scary dude started getting, like the imaginary dude started getting in her mind. He was like, we got to kill Danny to make sure Danny can never manifest. And then she picked up a knife, and she was going to break Danny into pieces. And then Cyborg saw her. Cyborg, like yelled her name, and that did nothing. Like, I don't even know why Cyborg was even in that scene, because he didn't do a damn thing. Like, Cyborg's presence, watching her do that, meant absolutely nothing. I don't even know, and it's like, Victor Stone's my man, 50 grand, but I don't even know why he was in that. I don't even know why he was in that scene. He didn't even have a conversation with Dorothy afterward. Like, Dorothy, she dropped the knife on her own, and she changed her mind about, about killing Danny. So Rita's upstairs. And while Rita's upstairs, she told Flex Metallo, she was just like, yo, remember that time you used your flex power to give everybody an orgasm? She was like, I need you to do that again. She's like, because that's the only way I'll be able to fully let go. She's like, I need to release in order to clear my mind. I don't know why she just didn't have actual sex with Flex Metallo. But so Flex did his thing. He gave her the orgasm, and her cherry got popped like a bunch of times. But then while she was going through like the sea of ecstasy, two things happened. She, like, both her and Flex Mentallo were exuding some serious sexual energy that awoke a sexual demon. And this demon feeds on sexual energy, but it can never fully manifest into a creature that can destroy the world, because there's never enough. There's always enough energy just to keep him stable, but not enough for him to go over the top. What Flex and Rita was doing was putting him over the top, and he immediately went to where Rita was so he can suck up all that energy. The second thing was, it was putting Rita in a situation where she was she was able to, like, she was, her mind, her guard was down, her mind was open, and she started reliving suppressed memories. She remembers memories of when she was a child, how her mom was sleeping with producers and directors and actors to get her parts, to get her parts in like movie roles. Like, that's part of the reason how Rita became a star, because her mom was kind of like pimping herself out to Hollywood. And that was kind of traumatizing to Rita, because she actually witnessed her mom banging some Hollywood producer at one point. So that like messed her up. That messed her up completely. And it kind of like it threw her off. Like, she was still in the midst of like having the orgasm, but like, again, like, her suppressed memories are starting to manifest. So while everybody's partying, having a good time, they get a knock on the door from the sex men. They're basically sexual ghostbusters, and they monitor sexual energy. And they said that when there's too much sexual energy, ghosts start popping up out of nowhere having sex with each other. And when you feed too much sexual energy, then the sex demon ends up coming to power. And all the sex energy he uses to turn into a baby, to birth a baby. And they said that when this sex demon births this baby, and this baby cries, he'll kill every single child on the planet, and he'll just leave the world full of horny adults that are just having sex like 24 hours a day. So I guess we had to stop him. So the sex men, the sex ghostbusters, like, they go in. They bust into Rita's room. They find out where the energy's. Oh, and the black woman who was one of the sex men, she was on Black Lightning. So like, she played I can't remember her name, but she played the mom that Lala killed, and then she ended up being a tattoo on Lala's chest. So for all you Black Lightning fans, if you looked at her and you're like, yo, why does this chick sound familiar? She was the mom that got killed when Tobias walked up to Lala and was like, "You shot somebody's mama." So so anyway, so and it's nice to see like other actors like getting jobs, because even again like Tavon from Black Lightning, he's on Stargirl now. So anyway, so they go into Rita's room, they see her orgasming her ass off, and nobody can get close to her because she's exuding so much sexual energy that when you try to get close to her, you end up having an orgasm as well. So nobody can get close to her. Jane, so Jane turned from the sex crazed, person. She ended up turning into Hammerhead, and then Hammerhead went to the sex, because there were 3 sexmen. There were 2 of them who went inside to check on Rita, and there was 1 guy who stayed in the van. Jane, like Hammerhead, she went to the van to talk to that guy. That guy told her the whole deal. He was like, listen, this demon can destroy the world, and he'll destroy all the children. Hammerhead's whole thing is, all 64 girls in the underground, they're there to protect a child called K. Protecting K is the mission. So when he said that this demon's going to destroy all the children, Hammerhead was like, oh shit, K's in trouble. Hammerhead ran upstairs to go stop the demon. Larry had told Cliff, he was like, yo, why don't you go in there to stop the demon, because you're the only person out of us who can't have an orgasm. And then Cliff was like, first of all, thanks for blowing up my spot in front of the sex man. And then he was like, he's like, I ain't doing that shit. So Hammerhead runs in. I don't know how she was able to fight off the orgasmic energy, but she took the baby came out. Hammerhead took the baby, shoved it right back up the dude's ass, and then he like he exploded, and then then Rita woke up, Flex woke up, all the sex energy was broken, and then the sexmen went to clean up the rest of the sex ghosts that were all over the house. So that's how that whole thing ended. And then after Hammerhead saved the world, she was just like, fine, Jane, you win. And she let Jane retake over as primary. Because here's the thing. All these different personalities that Jane has, they tell her that, their whole thing is they don't care about what's going on in the real world. They're just here to protect the girl. They're here to protect Kay. So they could give a damn about what's happening like in the real world. But unfortunately, in order for the underground to continue to exist, one person has to stay behind to be the primary. And Jane's the only one who actually wants to be the primary. And then when other personalities started being the primary, we come to find out they can't do it because it's too hard for them. Like the painter girl, she told Cliff straight up, she was like, I paint. That's my job. I do paintings. That's all I know how to do. So I'm like, so how are you going to be a primary when you don't know how to do anything other than paint? Hammerhead's whole thing is to beat people up. Like these people have no personal skills as far as like interacting with human beings. So they're the worst candidates. Like none of them, Jane's the only one who's qualified to be a primary because she understands how the real world works. None of these other people understand how the real world works, which is why they're not the primary. And Hammerhead got that, which is why, because she was just like, yo, it's too tough up here. Hammerhead was like, yo, it is way too tough up here. There's too many responsibilities and shit. And she let Jane take over the reins again. So now Jane's back in, she's back in control. So then like after that, so now everybody, everybody's, they're trying to like deal with the aftermath. Danny and Niles had a conversation. And Danny told him straight up, he was like, look, bro, I'm not turning myself into a street anymore. And you're going to have to find out something else to do with your daughter because she can't stay here. He was just like, yo, that's your daughter. Man up and just confront the situation and take care of your child. Danny ended up as Danny's growing, he decided instead of being a street, he turned himself into a tire. So now he's a tire. And as his tire grows, my opinion, Danny's basically going to turn himself into a party bus. And all these people are going to live on the party bus, traveling around the world, spreading the message of love and joy. So like everybody, like all the people who are at the party, they all touch Danny the tire, and then they all disappear. So now, Danny the tire and all the people are gone. Everybody else is at the house, and they're trying to cope with what's happening. Cyborg had said to Larry at one point, because Larry asked him, he was just like, why did you go to Detroit? And then Cyborg was like, because I was dealing with a lot of stuff and I needed to clear my head. And then Larry was like, you couldn't clear your head here? And then he was like, hell no. Cyborg was like, I had to actually leave here in order to clear my mind. And then Larry started thinking, he's just like, you know what, maybe I'll take a trip too. And then, Niles had asked everybody, he was like, so Cyborg, you're back? And he was just like, yeah, I'm back. And then he was like, Jane, you back? And then she's like, for now. She's like, I'm back for now. And that wasn't her saying, I'm back for now until I decide to leave. That was her saying, I'm back for now until these bitches in the underground snatch me up again and try to replace me. And then Cliff was just like, so we're not going to talk about how Rita's orgasm almost doomed the entire planet. And then it took us to another scene where Rita was talking. Well, Rita was drunk. Rita was like drunk, and she was trying to recuperate from having like the biggest orgasm of all time. So, but Dorothy was talking to her, and there was a moment when Rita was reliving her childhood memories. She had said to her mom, she was just like, Mom, she was like, when the producer comes, I can show him my singing or my dancing or my acting. And then her mom told her, she was like, look, you got other skills, just focus on that. And unfortunately, in Rita's drunken, orgasmic state of mind, when Dorothy asked her again, she was like, so Rita, you really think I'm beautiful? Rita said, she was like, you know what, Dorothy? She's like, you have other talents. She was just like, focus on those. And then Rita passed out, and then Dorothy got mad. And then Dorothy was just sitting there kind of like feeling a little dejected. And then the demon that was telling her, that, Niles was going to throw you back into the street, she asked him for advice. And then, and it's funny because this imaginary spirit's been trying to get her attention and trying to talk to her the entire time. So then when she finally asks him a question and wants to talk to him, he's like, yo, don't talk to me. Go talk to your he's like, go talk to your other friends or your imaginary friends or like your other friends, whatever. And then like, and then like, that's how the episode ended. So I don't know what this spirit's end game is, but it's getting kind of wild. From what I saw from the next episode, Larry ends up going to see his remaining son and his grandkids. And the rest of the team, they're basically just going to go through some shenanigans. And I think Dorothy, like, she ends up doing some stuff with her. I forgot. The only thing I remember from that is like Larry goes to see his family. So that was it. So let me know in the comments, like, what's going on with the spirit thing that Dorothy's going through? Like, what are we, what's the end game for this thing that Dorothy's dealing with? Like, what is this imaginary person want? Like, what does he want from Dorothy? What's going on with Rita? It's like, is she off the path of being a hero now, or is she gonna get back on it? When does Cyborg, meet the girl again, to try to like, rekindle that whole situation? And we'll click up and we'll talk about it. So thank you for tuning in. We got Stargirl coming up next, and then another week of DC TV. So until next time, for Doom Patrol episode 4, I'll see you guys for episode 5. Take care, stay safe, enjoy your 4th of July weekend, and as always, guys, I'm out this bitch!